I wanted to bring on Mark because when we had really gone in on the homeless issue last week, he'd kind of called when we had John Birch on, and he took exception to something that John Birch had said about, the homeless, they leave a big mess everywhere. And that kind of triggered him to call in because he was homeless. He's a veteran who has recently been housed through WestCare, and we've had WestCare on to talk about this program that they have for homeless veterans.
Yeah.
So we want to bring on Mark just to kind of get a little perspective on what it's like to be homeless on Guam, and also what it's like to get the system to help you out of that situation. So good morning, Mark. Mark? Oh, there you are. Mark.
Hi, Mark.
Hello.
Hi, Mark.
Hi, good morning, everybody.
Good morning. So we'll just start where you're at now. So you were a homeless veteran, and you were telling me when we chatted yesterday that you were homeless on Guam for many years.
Over a decade. Yeah.
And so now you're in, I know you're in a hotel, but this is through a program that WestCare has?
Yes, it's a program through WestCare. It's specifically designed for veterans, be it whatever era you want to come from. My caseworker there, her name is Sonia, and it's basically designed, like I said, if you're a homeless veteran, there are things in place, programs in place, assistance in place, if they don't know, or if they know someone who is a homeless veteran, to let them know that, there's outreach out there that you can seek, and they'll assist you, in whatever you need, whether it be, food or housing or even mental health, I was one of those people that I didn't realize at the time, but I actually needed all the assistance, that all these programs had to offer.
Mm-hmm. You said you were homeless for 12 years?
Over a decade.
Over a decade.
Sabrina, yeah.
And when did you get assistance?
Actually, I've actually been working with WestCare since I want to say 2014. Mm-hmm. I'm also one of those homeless that you guys were mentioning, that some people decide to remain homeless, so to say.
Yeah, I know, Mark, and that's also what I wanted to bring you on, is we had talked with Mr. Birch, and we hear this a lot from people, is they say, they just want to be homeless. And yeah. I know that's an oversimplification, but you were telling me yesterday that you agree in some ways that a person who is on the streets, living on the streets, needs to come to some sort of crossroads in their mind where they want to make that change.
Yes,
Can you
exactly.
kind of explain that a little bit?
Well, for me, in my situation, it deals with mental health. My issues were I had these issues, that needed to be addressed, through mental health and through the assistance of drug therapy. To be honest with you, I can let you guys know, the issues I was dealing with that were, I want to say, keeping me on the streets and homeless are things I wasn't aware of. I was in denial. I didn't know I was depressed. I didn't know I had all these other underlying issues, that I had, personally through my experiences with my family, and also through my experiences through the military. And also, being homeless and on the streets, I was being assisted by friends and people, either allowing me to stay, on their couch or have a sleep on their floor, but enabling me to remain homeless, and not being able to totally hit that rock bottom where I needed to be like, wow, I need help, and then seek out, these people and these places that are providing those services.
The Guam Homeless Coalition, I believe it's GWRA also, they have this passport to services. Did you ever at any point avail yourself?
I did. I've actually been down there twice, matter of fact. I even stood in line for a haircut, but I just it was one of those things where they mentioned. I remember when they did have it set up in the Agani Shopping Center. You know, being homeless. You know, also comes with a sense of melancholy. You know, and not wanting to be around social events. So I went to check it out, but at the same time, I didn't pursue each I don't want to say vendor that they had down there, you know, to see exactly what they had to offer. I was just there to get the free meal and get my hands on whatever brochure I could to get some more information to keep into, you know, my secret safe place, and just to try and educate myself what else would be available for me out there for assistance.
We talked to Angelina from the Homeless Coalition, and this is something that she mentioned. She said that they had outreach, I think it was a Agani Shopping Center, and a lot of the homeless were ashamed to come in and get the services. And so how they changed that up is they then decided that they're going to go back to actually going out to meet the homeless outward.
Yeah, you know, when matter of fact, one of the places that I used to, I want to call it my home, I lived, what is that abandoned garage there in Tumon? The one that's slated now under Gutierrez to be become something new. You know? I used to live there on the 3rd floor, guys.
What was that like, Mark?
Living there?
Yeah.
Well, it came to be known for us as our condo. To be honest with you, we made the most of what we had to live with, as far as, you know. Fortunately, there were beds there, you know. We made a home out of what we could. When I say we, you know, when you're homeless, you know, you tend to gravitate towards people in groups, you know. So there does become a structure, you know. You become a family. And I want to let you know, you guys, you know, because like I said, with the director that you had on last week, you know, his comments about the homeless and how they live in a dirty way. Let me tell you, we may have been homeless, you know, but we weren't casino, you know, and we may have been homeless, you know, but the place that we decided to create and make as our homes, we kept clean, you know. We made sure we got our necessities that we needed to survive, as far as something to drink, something to eat. Those of us within the group that worked, you know, had a job, you know, came back and you know, we all, whatever value we could bring to the group, each person did individually, you know, brought it together to make our home work, so to say. So like I said, I know we all tried our best to keep our areas clean, you know, because we had a respect and we appreciated what we had, be it how little it was at that time. We respected it, you know, and we understood where we were. Matter of fact, when you're homeless and you're in those areas I meaning like where the tourists are, you know, congregate or hang out, you know, we were even visited by the GPD, for example, you know. And people from the Homeless Coalition and people from the Salvation Army who brought us food, brought us MREs. The police always would come around and make sure that, you know, we're okay. Matter of fact, sometimes they even brought us Burger King, breakfast. Wow. You know, so we weren't just in these places and living like Lone Rangers. You know, we were in these places, but the authorities knew we were in these places and in these structures, and made it a point to visit us and make sure that we were okay and doing okay, you know. And I want to say this: we were law-abiding citizens as well. We just didn't have a home.
Mark, how do you respond? Because I've seen there are homeless who, like you said, are trying to maintain some semblance of a home atmosphere out here on the streets.
Man.
There's a few homeless I see in Agania that they're just really up to no good. There's one guy that hangs out by the library. He's always drinking. I see him asking for money at the intersections. There's also been a group of homeless in the Anigua area where they actually murdered somebody.
I hear you.
Right.
You know,
and I'm not demonizing the homeless. That's not what I'm about. What I am asking is, how do you respond to that? Because I understand there are those like yourself who, you know, were raised in a way that you want to take care of your surroundings, even if you're living on the street. And then there were those who were just
exactly
beyond reach.
And
so
that's why I believe it's a good thing, where when people are, when there's a group or there's a person that you can designate as being homeless, that the authorities need to step in, and document them where they're at, and make that connection with these people to let them know, hey, you're going to be held accountable should anything happen in your area, and plus it also gives that opportunity for outreach, for anybody dealing with the homeless, that, hey, there's people over here, or there's a person over here that might need your assistance. Also, along with the so-called troublemakers, it's possible they have mental issues that they either know or don't know that need to be addressed, and
right.
maybe they just need to be on some medication.
Right. Yeah, and that's where we talk about the shortcomings of behavioral health. I mean, this is a department that's been underfunded for, I want to say, decades.
Yeah, like I said, guys, I'm one of those people. I'm not ashamed to say, I'm on medication, and I am thankful for my medication. Why? Because it's helped me. Committing myself to medication has helped me get to this point right now, where I can say I'm on my way to being one of the success stories, for West Care and for the VA homeless program. But part of me getting on to this phase of my life is admitting that I got issues, and accepting medication therapy, and seeing it through faithfully.
I mean, Mark, you got to know that you're one of the lucky ones, because as a veteran, there's this whole program at West Care where homeless veterans. There's a place for you. There's a program for you.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Are the homeless?
I'm thankful for that.
Right. Yeah. And so, and when I talked to you yesterday, you did admit that you're in a way better place than a lot of these other folks. So, how do they get the help they need? Is the help they need available?
Yes, the help that they need is available. You gotta reach out for it too. One thing, one of the lessons I've learned, from being homeless is, that there's somebody there to help you. You have to also take that step and reach out to them as well. And the person I reached out to, is Sonia. I love Sonia. She's on my team, man. And reaching out to her, has gotten me this far. Reaching out to Sonia, it connected me with my VA rep, Janaea Green, and from there, the team just got bigger and bigger, and I've got all these people backing me, behind me, wanting me to be successful.
Right.
But like I said, it started when I reached out to Sonia at West Care. I have her number if anybody's interested.
Right.
That's one way to get started. Get connected, and her number is 482-9001. And I was speaking with Sonia a couple of days back, and one of the things that she always mentions to me, before we hang up on our conversations is, is if there's anyone that I know, military vet, in a situation, homeless, that, to outreach to them and let them know that, hey, there are services available, to get you off the street. You may not want to get off the street right now, but that just so you know, in the future, should you decide that, hey, I'm ready to come back to reality, I'm ready to come back and be a productive person, of society. This is one way to get it started. Give Sonia a call.
Mark, I wanted to ask you though. You said you'd been homeless for over a decade, and you had been availing yourself of services from the Passport to Services program, and you received help from different people while you were staying at the garage in Tumon.
Yes.
What then was that turning point for you that you wanted to come back to reality, like you said, and change your life and turn things around?
Coronavirus. Realizing that being out there playing Rambo, living in the jungle, and knowing that there's, because I every now and then when I have a chance to keep up with technology, I'll ask to borrow somebody's phone and get on YouTube. And then in December, I discovered, that there was this coronavirus going around town. And when I realized how I realized it was going to become a pandemic early on. I started to get that. I went into survival mode, so to say, and then that's when I'm glad I kept every brochure and every number. As a matter of fact, it was. I'm so thankful. I'm glad this came full circle. It was your show, Sabrina and Chris. Your show that morning when I heard it, and that interview that you had with Sonia, I believe, that led me to making that call that started me on my path to becoming getting housed and everything.
Man, Mark, thank you for that, and that's why we, do this show, to get the people like Sonia out there to tell people like you who might not know that there's help for you.
Matter of fact, your show was still running, and I was already in the process of hooking up with Sonia. Wow. The day I called. So I want to say thank you guys, for what you do and the information you put out. It is worth. It has value. It educates as well, and it does reach those people who need to be reached, who want to be reached. And I appreciate it, and I'm thankful for you both, and like I said, everything you have to offer and bring value, to this universe.
Thank you so much for that, Mark. I want to ask you, though, going back to last week when we were playing the interviews with the homeless, doing the story with the homeless being kicked out of Paseo, where they've now been allowed to stay until the shelters are awarded. How did you feel watching that, knowing that you used to be one of these homeless people, to know that these people are the low, down on their luck, and just to be told that, hey, get out of here, scram, go somewhere where the tourists can't see you?
Oh boy, I'm right now. I'm like I said, I'm thankful for my medication. I actually took it. I take it every morning. It broke my heart, you guys. Why? I know those people. I've lived with them. There are people down there who I've shared meals with. I've shared nights out under the stars, out in the open. A safe place to sleep. Sharing food. Stories. Shelter, security. They're my brothers and sisters, and to hear that was happening, it broke my heart. There's no way I could have communicated with them other than leaving where I'm staying here at Sure Stay and walking down and trying to find them. But with COVID and everything, it kind of makes it a little bit more risky. It broke my heart. I'm thankful though to hear that they're allowed to stay there, and I saw a little thing this morning, I guess, with Lieutenant Governor Tenorio stating that there's something in the process. I just wish that the something in the process would just be stated and then set into motion and then stuck to, see it through. Because, like I said, these people who are homeless, they shouldn't be thought of as the bottom of the food chain, because they're human beings just like any one of us. I'm pretty certain that nobody in their life ever decides that one day I want to be homeless. Things happen in life. That's the reality, and you never know who's at. Any one of us is at risk to being homeless. Look at me. I'm a military veteran. As a matter of fact, I'm an educated military veteran. I have an associate's in biomed technology, and I was on the streets for over a decade. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter. Nobody is immune, to being homeless. Anybody can fall into that category. So, with that said, the homeless shouldn't be treated as, secondhand citizen. These are our brothers and sisters. These are our family, that need that assistance. However they can get it, from whomever they can get it from. Matter of fact, there are also some people, they're not in a government system, they're not under any other program, and they just go out and they seek homeless and give them food. I've been one of those people who receive, people just come down and say, here, when you're hungry, and they bring us food, because they know that it's difficult, either because they've been in the situation themselves before at one point in their life, or they know somebody who's in it at that moment, or they just have that love for another human being, to understand that maybe they have something extra and that they can give it to somebody today, and someone today is not going to go hungry.
Mark, people used to say that Guam was a good place to be homeless. And I know they said this, recently as a couple years ago, right? Because we are a generous and giving community. But it kind of seems like we're turning a corner, and I really hope that this shelter is, something that signifies a change, because we went from Guam's being a good place to be homeless to you can't sleep here, you can't sleep there, you can't sleep there, you can't sleep at Serena Park. You can't sleep there. Get out of Paseo. You know what I mean?
But you also hear, and maybe what would be your response to it is, because we are, a tight-knit community, family. Why couldn't people go to their families for help?
Sabrina, it depends too. Because part of being homeless, for me, I can say in my situation, was I had family issues, so sometimes, you can't reach out in that direction toward your family, but thank goodness, that family on Guam, if I'm a local, extends more than just your immediate family. It it extends to your friends, to people that you meet on the street, that you become your adopted family, to these programs, that are available, like I said, I look to Sonia now like as a sister, even here at the hotel that I'm staying at church day, the management, Joanna and the people, the staff here, like Aga, my trust for them is more like I feel like they're my brothers and sisters, they're my family now. These people are taking care of me, I appreciate it, I'm thankful for it. So the family, the extended family, I'd say is where, for me, I got most of my relief from, so to say.
Yeah, and Mark, I've talked to a bunch of homeless, and there was one situation where it just how family differences can just snowball into something. So the smallest argument, I was talking to a guy.
Yeah.
Was staying with his dad, got into an argument with his dad over something ridiculous. They threw stuff. Dad kicked him out. And on both sides, because I happened to know the dad, Dad was like, no, I don't want to deal with it. Son was like, I said, hey, did you ever think about reaching out to your dad? Maybe you guys, no. Both sides don't want. And I think to me, when it kind of, it makes you really think about when you fight with your family, like, what's really worth it, I mean, is something like that, or we're just going to both go around this island pretending not to know each other while you're homeless and I've got a roof over my head. Right. And to me, it's really, that when we talk about the family, like the Chamorro family is broken down. It's not the same as it was, 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. It's not. And we keep saying like, oh, the family. Well, the family is broken. The elder generation that held us all together, they've passed. My grandparents have passed. They were the glue of the family. Now everyone, and not just in my family, but I know in a lot of families, people are
Lone Rangers.
They're Lone Rangers, but it's not even that they don't. Sometimes it's not that they don't want to help their relative. It's that they can't. I mean.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, they're not rich. They've got their own issues going on. Some stay in Gura. They can't have, family members. So it's just so complicated. And you can see, and you're correct when you say that it could happen to anybody, because I went out there, I talked to 3-4 different homeless people, and none of them have the same story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's something as simple as a guy I was talking to lost all his IDs. Got into it with his dad's girlfriend, got out on the street, can't get a job, doesn't have a birth certificate, doesn't have Social Security, doesn't have an ID.
That was an issue for me at one point in time.
Right.
I had no documents.
It's crazy how we take it for granted. I got like 3 IDs in my car, and I flip when I can't find my driver's license. But Can you imagine just with no ID in a situation like this? You don't exist.
That's true. Documents are very important. Mm-hmm. Very important. I have documents now, and I have copies of my documents.
Yeah, yeah.
And I put them in different stash places just to be sure. You know, guys, there's one other thing I want to mention, you know, for the homeless vets, that would help them out also, you know, because it's possible that, you know, they're being housed by either family or friend, and, you know, they don't have their own place, so to say. The only way, you know, that this program works, you know, is if the veteran has no place to turn to, you know. So if they're being housed, you know, whether it be from family or from a friend, you know, they're actually cutting them off from services, you know. The best thing that I can suggest for anybody housing a homeless veteran is to bring them, you know, or let them know, bring them to the attention of West Carrier, let them know, hey, I have a homeless vet, I'm housing him right now, but, you know, the situation is I'm pretty sure they're better off in your care, you know, to enable them, you know, to receive these services. Otherwise, you know, technically, if you're being housed, you're not considered homeless, and it kind of, you know, I don't want to say restricts you from, but you're kind of missing out on access,
right?
You know, to being able to qualify for the program.
How many homeless vets do we have out here, Mark?
Wow.
Because I know that Henry is one. Henry's kind of new to Guam, came in the last year. He's over here at Harmon McDonald's intersection sometimes with a sign. He's a Marine.
I've seen Henry. You know, when I've seen Henry on the side of the road, you know, I've been a passenger in a car, but I always holler out to him and tell him, Henry, call West Care. You know, Henry, call West Care. You know, I try and let these people know. You know, when I'm a passenger in a car driving by, you know, call West Care, call West Care, and it's either something they know or they don't know. Hopefully they do. You know. But like I said, also, you know, it depends on the outreach too. I'm hoping these people that do the outreach, you know, when they realize that they're dealing with a homeless veteran, you know, hey, send them over to Sonia at Westcar and get them started, man.
Right, and let's talk about that, Mark. So you went from being a street homeless to now you're. This is a transition for you. I know you're in a hotel, but you were telling me yesterday that you're going to be transitioned out to your very own place to stay.
Yes, I'm still looking for a place right now, and that's going to be under GURA's HUD-VASH through the VA. But I've already gotten my initial screening, and there's some documents I still need to turn in, and I'm in the process of finalizing that. But I have the A-OK to find a place to stay of my own. You know, like I said, it's just a start, guys. You know, and then from there, you know, they're going to also help me out with job assistance, you know, and what I plan on doing when I come back to society and working, you know, I intend to find my place, you know, in working with the homeless, you know, not just veterans, but the homeless, period, you know, everyone. I want to, I know I'd have to become a counselor or social worker, you know, so there's some schooling I'm going to have to go through, and thank goodness I still have my GI Bill, you know, I'm going to tap into that. But my intention is to sink my nails, my teeth, you know, into this homeless issue on this island.
So glad to hear that.
I want to put a dent in it. You know, I want to bring value to it. I want to give back as well. But until then, yeah, I stay here at the Sure Stay over here in Barrigada, and these people, let me tell you, I feel like they treat me like a king here. I'm fed 3 times a day, hotel food. You know, I'm thankful. I feel spoiled. Like, you
feel guilty, I bet, a little.
Exactly, I feel guilty a little bit. You know, how good how good I'm being treated here. But you know, that's what they do. That's what they do.
Mark,
who they are.
Let me ask you, right? So, homeless over a decade. You started researching coronavirus in December. You heard Sonia from Westcare on the show. You made the call. That first night, in a place with 4 walls and a roof, what was going through your head?
I passed out. I was so overwhelmed. It was one of those, is this real? Yes. You know, I had the conversation with myself, is this happening? I was like, wait, you know, when I first walked up to my room and I used the key to open it, I walked in, I was like, I'm in a room, you know. There's aircon, there's TV, I have food, there's a running shower with hot water. All of those home amenities, you know, that are now at my fingertips, you know, and because I finally decided to give in and I reached out, you know, for help, and I got so overwhelmed I passed out. So it wasn't until I woke up at like maybe 3 o'clock in the morning, and I had myself a nice hot shower, and I started to enjoy, you know, what like right now I'm sitting in my room, I'm looking around, and I see you guys on the TV, I'm waving hi, and then there's aircon, you know, there's a window I can see out, there's a nice view. There's still breakfast sitting on my counter. I've eaten half of it. You know, I've got iced coffee in front of me. You know, this is the life that every person deserves. You know, to have these things available to them. You know, so like I said, I'm not certain that a homeless person that's deciding to remain homeless, you know, wants to live that for their entire life. But at some point in time, you know, something will click, you know, and they're going to want to come back to reality. But I'm glad I did.
Yeah, and I mean, what you're saying about this it's basic. I mean, for us to treat humans decently, especially those of us who are, you know, more fortunate than others, and I believe it's the responsibility of our government to also.
I agree.
Treat people with humanity,
I mean,
compassion.
You're talking about things that, you know, we take for granted, and you're right. Everybody deserves a home.
What was it like, though, when you made the call to Sonia? You wanted to change your life. Were you still staying at the condo, as you called it?
No. Actually, at that point, I was being housed by a friend up in Jigo. I was being allowed to sleep, you know, on her floor, but she has issues also, and because I had started my medication therapy through CBOC with the VA, my body was going through a period of adjustment to the medication, so it was kind of lethargic. And what she saw in me kind of reminded, because she had just gone through a death of her daughter, and seeing me in that lethargic state was kind of bringing back that memory of seeing her daughter. So the living arrangement wasn't working out for her. So, you know, I was no longer welcome to stay there. And I understand, you know, where she's coming from. You know, we've been friends for a long time, you know, and we're still friends to this day. But I didn't want to. I understood for her to see me going through that process, you know, knowing that, you know, she had just lost her daughter and seeing her daughter go through a similar process. So I had to remove myself from that situation. And matter of fact, that morning when it was brought up to my attention to remove myself from her home, that's the same morning I heard you guys' show, and that's the same morning I made the call, you know, to Sonia and reached out to her, and then Sonia hooked me up with the services, you know, that Westcare has to offer, and eventually hooking me up with the VA and getting my way to being housed.
Mark, we'd like to ask you to end with a message to our elected leaders and to the homeless out there. What would you say to them?
Guys, the homeless, I don't want to say a homeless situation, I'm saying the homeless on Guam, you know, this is our family. These are our brothers and sisters, you know. It's been happening ever since, you know, since before this tourism thing, since before COVID. It's been happening. It's progressed, though, throughout the years. But it's not a new issue. This is old news, you know. These are old issues. Please, you know, get something set in stone for our brothers and sisters, you know, they're homeless, you know, to get them started, get them in. You know, one thing that I had an issue with, you know, was, you know, like I said, these rooms that we were being paid for, you know, for COVID, you know, cost X amount per night. Hey, one of the issues that the director had as far as, you know, the homeless using the restroom was that, you know, there was no place for them to use the restroom because they're locked up. Well, it only costs about $300 to rent one porta potty. You need two, so maybe you're going to spend about $600, one for the males, one for the females, and then you can avoid all those sanitary issues. Yeah. Like I said, you know, these are our family, and they need our help as a community. You know, it's up to all of us. You know, to do our part. You know, and to see them through. Like I said, for me, one of my intentions, I want to educate myself, become one of these. You know, people to assist the homeless, you know, and one way I need to do that, I have to educate myself first, you know. But that's my intention. So you're going to see me on that front line one day. I always tell Sonia, one day, watch this. Watch me, Rhonda.
Well, we're looking forward to it, and we certainly thank you so much for coming on to the show and sharing your story. I think it's opened a lot of eyes.
And ears.
Yeah. So...
Yeah, thanks, guys. Thank you for letting me share my story. Like I said, my intention today was to reach out to there, like I said, for anybody who is a homeless veteran or anybody who is housing a homeless veteran, you know, showing them the way, you know, to enable our homeless vets, you know, to be able to receive these services. And I want to thank you for letting me tell my story.
Well,
thanks, Mark.
Yeah, Mark, thanks for coming on. I mean, the thanks is all ours. And, you know, I'll keep in touch with you, and you keep us posted, and let us know when you finally get that place, man.
Sounds good. Hey, like I said, you know, I actually had to create a Facebook account to be in contact with you guys sometime last week. So it's still under the works of construction. Like, this is all new to me. I've never had a Facebook. I've never even had a MySpace. So I guess I'll reach out to you through that social media platform.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Just message me and I'll shoot you my number.
Okay.
Okay.
Right,
Thank you,
care.
Mark. God bless you.
You too. Thanks, guys.
Okay.
And wash your hands.
Oh, yeah, and stay home. Okay,
All right, Mark.
Bye.
That's why we do radio right there.
Wow.
We're going to take a short break, and we're going to continue the good note and end the show next right here on the KUAM News Takeover, Guam's favorite. It's containing COVID. Good morning.
Keeping you informed, KUAM News brings you Banking 671, brought to you by the Bank of Guam, the People's Bank, and Coast